Lots of my family members have been and still are in the restaurant and bar business. The Greeks, the ones who came to America from the old country with dreams of making their fortunes, providing for their families, all of it with a $4.99 breakfast special and the best club sandwich in the city, as my Uncle Dennis would say, who also worked in a restaurant from early morning to late in the evening, partly because he felt he needed to be there and partly because he didn't want anyone stealing his money. Yeah, he felt he had to watch the register the whole time. His kids followed suit and opened up bars and restaurants with the same work ethic. In fact, in Indiana, where they live, you can go to a Dino's restaurant. That is, in fact, my family. My father had a chance to go into the restaurant business with my uncle back in the day, but my father didn't see the restaurant business in his future, so to speak. He found other shortcuts in life to make his way in the world, which will be fodder for another podcast for another time. Me, yes, I have been approached about opening a joint, a bar with a, limited small menu. It would be a huge mistake, my friends. On paper, it makes sense, given all the people I know and the various drinking circles I've been in, but I'd have to give the place an Irish or English pub kind of name, and I came up with one, the Running Tab, because that's what I envision. Dean, put that round on my tab, okay? Yep, you're good. It would be the shortest and greatest run of a bar ever. Welcome to Whiskey Business, a podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. I am your host, Dino Tripodis, along with my producer extraordinaire, Greg Hansberry. Nice to see you, my friend. And I should mention that we are also videotaping this particular podcast as well for an upcoming YouTube channel. Man, I'm telling you, when we go in deep, we go in all the way, right?
Yeah.
We got a Facebook page, and we went to Instagram.
Yeah, we got an Instagram account now? YouTube?
Now we got my friend who I collaborate with in films, John Whitney, who said, "Can we do a YouTube thing?" And let me try, and we're letting him to come in and do this. So
all the platforms, all the digital platforms, we're taking over the world.
The world, maybe not the world. Our guest bottle is Jameson's back-to-back Irish whiskeys, Hansberry.
I like that. I'm an Irish whiskey guy, so I'm excited about it.
And it's only because our guest from last week, Barry Chandler from Story Forge, recommended the Jameson's Black Barrel, and I tried it in a bar, and I liked it, so I picked up a bottle. We'll talk more about the Jameson Black Barrel a little bit later on. Another one of those wonderful triple distilled Irish whiskeys. This one has, to me, it seems like it's there's a higher amount of pot still whiskey in this one, which is fine by me because I love the pot still whiskey. But we'll talk more about the Black Barrel.
It's sweet right off the bat. It's very sweet.
You like it?
Yeah.
You like it? It's got some nice notes in it, and we'll get into those notes a little bit later because my guest is a restaurant bar owner, the OPA Grill and Tavern in Delaware, Ohio. Is owned by, is it Genti?
Yes.
Genti Kochi.
Yes, sir.
Genti Kochi, which is what?
I'm a first generation immigrant in U.S. and I come all the way from Albania. So we been in Delaware since 2009. I moved to Columbus, Ohio, 2007, and moved to Delaware 2009. And me and my family, we decided to buy the restaurant, and we bought it 4 years ago.
4 years. And was your family in the restaurant business before that?
No. I used to be a manager. I have a pharmacy degree that I got in Istanbul University, Turkey, and I got another degree in here in Columbus.
A pharmacy degree?
Yes, sir. I'm a pharmacist by trade. Now I don't. I only practice whiskey now, which is still medicinal on my understanding.
That's how it started,
yes,
right?
Yes,
I mean, it started for medicinal purposes back in the days of Prohibition. They would go to the pharmacist.
Absolutely, I practice whiskey for medicinal purposes only.
And your place up in Delaware. Now, was this by design? All right, people, I know that when you listen to this podcast, for those of you who listen in Columbus, Ohio, and in nearby Delaware, which is just up the road about 40 minutes or so, but for those of you who do not live in Columbus, Ohio, if you do get a chance to go up to the little quaint town of Delaware, you got to go to OPA because you have how many?
We should be like, I don't know, we lost count at this point, but we should have about 900 bottles of high proof liquor. So combined, I should have about 240, 250 American whiskey, which is basically, on my opinion, Kentucky and Tennessee mostly. But I mean, it's going to be a bottle in here and there from different states like Texas or New York, but mostly American whiskey alcohol, about 250 bottles. I should have about 200 bottles of scotch.
Did the bar have those when you bought it?
No, absolutely not.
No.
No. The bar in the 4 years, the bar has been built twice because like the carpenters, they don't understand me. They don't see my vision.
They don't understand you. Why?
Because I keep telling them I need more room and
it's not the accent.
Yeah, and they don't listen. So they go, oh, you have enough room in here. So I've been building the bar twice, and probably this November the bar is going to be expanded one more time. Because we like to really have a few more bottles. At this point, I should have about 10 barrels that I personally pick myself. Not necessarily me as one person, but like with the help of my bartender. And I did a cool thing like 3-4 weeks ago. I picked two barrels of whiskey, and I do believe. I don't want to talk because there is no paper or there is no evidence, but I do believe that I was the first one getting help from female. I had 8 women that were divided into 2 different groups, 4 ladies each, and they had 3 samples, and they picked a Knob Creek 14-year-old barrel. It's going to be a single barrel. Only for OPA Grill and Tavern in Delaware, Ohio. So
And the ladies picked that.
The ladies picked one, and the guys picked another one. So we had 2 different teams, totally separate from each other, because people in America still don't believe and don't appreciate the woman force on the whiskey industry. Females have a lot of power on industry, and unfortunately, gentlemen, I'm sorry to break it down to you, but they have a better nose, they have a better taste, they really understand better than us.
We've been trying to get more women on Whiskey Business. That was one of the early criticisms of the podcast, is that we didn't have enough women on the show. So we're trying to get more women, because I know that women love whiskey, and there's a lot of female bourbon enthusiasts.
Oh yeah! Oh my God!
Who know their shit.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
You had to see how they were acting and how they were dealing during the whole tasting. They were putting notes down. They were not letting each other to influence notes, and they had it down.
Why do you think that women have a better nose and a better palate for whiskey than men? Is there anything scientific behind it? I don't think.
Not necessarily, but still, a lot of people think that men can cook more, but women are better chefs. There are more men cooking in restaurants and stuff, but I can tell you and I can guarantee you that women are better chefs. But that's my opinion, and we all have one.
Who cooks at OPA?
Oh, I cook. My wife helps a little bit, but she has.
Where are the recipes from?
The recipes are all from family. They are all family secrets. We have been immigrants, and we have a lot of immigrants on different. My brother's a chef in Napoli. I have a few cousins that are chefs. The ladies are doing a good job in Greece. One of them is in Athens. One of them is in Larissa. One is in Patra. So the girls are doing a good job as well. But we have like a lot of recipes that are family, and they are the way that Grandma used to cook.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, I know that my uncle, my Uncle Dennis, who has a restaurant, spends half his time on the island in Greece, and he has a lady who works for him and cooks for him. She's Albanian, and she's magnificent. I mean, as far as the stuff that she comes up with. So, and the Greeks and Albanians, they kind of cross over a little bit.
Yeah, the Mediterranean cuisine, in my opinion, it's pretty much same. It's a lot of influence to each other. It's just the way the people interpret it, because we cook, but we don't measure anything. We don't have measurements.
No, my grandmother, yeah.
No, we don't measure. And like sometimes people come and tell me, oh, this is not exactly how it was like 3 months ago. And I tell them, you have to come more often so you can keep up with the palate.
With the palate,
yeah. Because we don't like, we'll cook, and we are like free cooking. We have like we don't measure or we don't cup. I don't know what a measurement cup is. I don't know what ounces is. I don't know. I have them on my brain with kilograms still or grams or all that. So for me to like convert a pound to a kilogram, it's like, oh, okay, hold on. But like I know exactly what goes on my dishes and I know exactly how to cook it.
Do you feel you've done a good job of bringing Mediterranean cuisine to the small town of Delaware?
Absolutely. We are very loved in Delaware. We are very loved. Delaware is a really small, nice town.
Albanians there? There's Greeks that have restaurants up
Well, yeah,
there.
yeah.
The town's being overrun by Mediterraneans.
Absolutely. Vasily Advance has been in there for, I don't know, 150 years now.
Yeah.
So the Corner Cafe is owned by Greek. There is a friend of mine, just he's not cooking it there though. He just opened a gelato shop. He and his wife, they've been in Italy for like 12 years, so they do Italian style gelato.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we have a lot of Mediterranean guys that have businesses in like food industry in downtown Delaware.
Where did your love for whiskey come from?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I was 3 or 4, I guess. I don't know. I had issues with my teeth and all that. So it was cheaper to get some scotch on your gums than go to a dentist or I don't know, whatever. So yeah, been drinking a little bit, and college helped.
College helped? Did you go to college here or back there? You went back there, right?
I went to Istanbul. I had the chance to study abroad, and I started pharmacy in Istanbul University. I was in there for a period of time. When I came in here,
so there were whiskeys of an assortment of whiskeys in Istanbul.
Oh yeah. We traveled a lot, so we'll stop on.
But what would be
mostly Jim Beam, Jack Daniels. Those were
the American whiskeys.
The American whiskeys. The American whiskeys, scotches, Cottage Shark, which yeah. But when you're in college and you want to, that's the budget that you have.
Oh, trust me,
Cottage Shark is the best.
I drank
the best scotch
more
out there.
Black Velvet in college than I care to recall or remember because the price was right and so forth and so on. But when did you just start to develop an appreciation and a taste?
Of course. After I graduated, after I moved to US, I was making more money, and there is more bourbons in here than back in Europe. There is easy access to whiskey in here than in Europe. In Istanbul, you can get whiskey. It's not that you can't, but in Istanbul, it's the whiskey is expensive because the state maybe like at 300-400% of taxation. So the taxes are very high in there. We had people that were coming and visiting, so they'll call me from the airport, like what you need from, what's missing at your bar. So they will hook me up with like 4, 5, 10 bottles from the airport to get them at a lower price compared to the liquor store down the street. So we managed to drink, and we traveled a lot. Like when I was in Istanbul, like my uncle was living in Kavala. She was a chef. One of the best restaurants in there. So she had when I was visiting my aunt. And she had a lot of connections, and like I was getting good bottles when I went back home. So. And
you decided when you opened up OPA that whiskey would be a part. That was part of the plan.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you know what?
No, that was part of the plan. No, that was all planned. When I bought the restaurant, I maybe had like 20 bottles, like the
your standards, your basics, like, your vodkas, your rums.
Rum. And now we have like 900 bottles. And hopefully, I want to do like 1,001 bottles.
1,001.
Yeah, I want to change the name of the restaurant, but I'm still a little scared. I want to do it like Bourbon R Us, but since that Toys R Us closed, so I might be like, no.
What OPA? Nothing wrong with OPA.
No. It's just that sometimes people don't know and don't understand.
Is OPA? I know OPA's Greek. Is OPA Albanian as well?
Yeah. In Albania we use it too, but a lot of people think that it's Dutch, and they call me, "Are you OPA?" And like, I said,
it's
I don't.
Dutch.
There is a lot. Yeah, in Deutschland, or I mean in Germany or Holland, OPA means grandpa. So they think that on German. So they think I'm grandpa. No, I said no. I'm still young. I'm only 21. So
21.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, 21. My ass. Yeah, and I'm 35. Anyway, so your family, you're married?
Yes, I'm married. I married 2000.
Oh, dude, you need to remember those dates.
Oh, this is not taped, right? No, I married. I married twice. Not necessarily two different women, but like I married back home. and it took me like a year to move in here. So when I came in here, I had another wedding in here. And
To the same woman.
to the same woman,
Yeah.
just like one back home in
One
there
back
and
home,
one in America,
yeah,
like,
Yeah,
and we
well,
did
that's
it,
nice.
yeah.
And so that's why you're confused about the dates?
Yeah,
Because,
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there were two of them?
Two of
that's
those.
the best fucking save I've ever heard in my entire life.
I mean,
as
you
far
have to-
as like a-
I mean,
you
you
know,
have
it's
to-
because I was married twice. They were both very special events in my life.
You have to have a plan. You have to have exit for everything. Yeah, and my wedding in here in Columbus was at the Greek restaurant, so at
very-
Milos.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, Milos.
So, does your wife work at the restaurant too?
She comes and helps. But my wife works at Ohio State, and she's in school for nursing. And with
Okay.
2 little kids, it's a little difficult.
A little difficult.
Yeah,
So she's helping out whenever
yeah.
she
I mean,
can.
I'm at the restaurant 24/7. So
What is that? What is that? My uncle was the same way. What is it? Why do you feel you need to be there 24/7? What is it about that work ethic that seems to be part of
our culture,
Our culture,
our culture,
our ethnic culture?
It doesn't matter if you are from Greece, from Albania, from Macedonia, from Bulgaria, from wherever you are, from Balkans. We have the same culture. I just laugh at people, and I just when people don't understand the culture, I go, we pretty much are same. We just have borders, we just have a different language, but pretty much we are like same. It's like from you going from here to Kentucky.
But where does the work ethic come from?
Not necessarily work ethic. I will say, on my opinion, that this is like a culture that we are successful with restaurants in here, not because we have the best club in town,
Right.
but it's because we are in there present at all time, and we're very friendly with people, and people, that's why they come. Because it's not that my whiskey it's better than whiskey. Like, I sell a lot of beer, which is sometimes is in a bottle, and it's not better than the restaurant next door. It's like, but people come to me for the hospitality. We are very hospitality, whatever the right word is. Like, we are very easy to go. Welcoming,
Yeah.
and that's why people come back. That's what people want. That's why we have to be at the restaurant.
They feel like they go in and they know you. They know.
Oh, yeah,
them,
absolutely.
So they
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like they feel like they're coming home. It's not unfamiliar.
Exactly, and that's why
That's part of the success of my uncle's restaurants.
I do.
because
I agree. Yeah, that's
he
why
had
we
regular people come in for breakfast,
Oh, yeah,
lunch,
yeah.
and
Yeah, yeah.
dinner, and he knew everybody. And
We-
he knew everybody's name.
we know everybody's name. We know what they drink. Most of the time, we don't give people menus. It's not that we don't want to give them menus, but we know what they eat, and we don't ask them questions. Like, this is what you eat. You want well done hamburger. You want no tomatoes, and you want extra onions, and this is how you are. Sometimes I ask that they want a extra well done hamburger, and we just laugh at them. Why do you want to pay us to burn your food? But they pay, so we're happy.
It's okay.
And it is the hospitality. It's like people come not necessarily for our food or for our whiskeys, but people also come for our faces, because they know that we're going to be in there. And they know that we're going to make their time better.
But the food and the beverage has to be good. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
They're not going to keep coming back.
Absolutely,
just
absolutely.
If,
you have
if,
to have
if
those.
It's
You have
crap,
to have. Yeah, no.
It's got to be tasty to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to have those going on, but also people. My guys can do as tasty as I'll do the food, but like, if I'm not in there, I'm sure that 10-15% of people will not gonna show up because I'm not in there. Or they'll all text me or call me, are you at a restaurant, because we're coming over. So yeah, absolutely.
Is it a big menu? Because my uncle had it was like a book. His menu,
yeah.
because he was kind of diner like.
Yeah.
And that
we have about 3 pages.
And
I'm trying to trim it down a little bit.
2 pages for breakfast and 3 pages for lunch, and it was the 4 pages for dinner, and then it was a cocktail menu, and I mean
typical Greek, typical Mediterranean restaurants, and
they want to serve it all.
Oh yeah, and they can do it all. Like, I know Greek restaurants in here, or Albanian restaurants, or Macedonian restaurants that are like so good, and they serve it all.
What I found out when we were talking before the podcast was that your brother-in-law owns the breakfast joint that I go to. George's Beach Well Diner.
George's Beach Well Diner.
And
Yeah,
that's
he
your
has
brother-in-law.
Yeah.
And that's another guy that's always working hard and
yeah.
is there 24/7. Well, but he's smart.
He's
He's
smart.
He's done in the afternoon.
He only works.
Breakfast, lunch, and then
breakfast, lunch
that's
is done. At 3:00 he'll go around and drink a beer or
he's
race
good.
cars. Yeah.
He's on to something.
Yeah. He had it better, but he got the restaurant before. He has been. Oh my God, he has been working in restaurants probably. My daughter is 8 now. He bought the restaurant 10 days before my daughter was born. So he worked for Tommy's Dinner for another 10 years. So 18 years in the restaurant business.
And the rest. So he learned everything down at Tommy's Diner.
Yeah, he worked for Tommy's for like
Tommy's
10 years.
is a great place too.
He has a really great place. When I was working, I started my first job in US was at Mount Carmel West. So we're going stopping in there for after lunches, like late lunches, because you never can get in there.
Gonna have to hashtag all these places Hansberry and put them down so people can check them out.
I want to go
because they're all great places.
Oh yeah,
Tommy's has been around forever.
Tommy's Dinner, I do believe at this point should be like 32, 34 years or maybe more. And
George's used to be Ruby's.
The place has been in there,
Yeah.
have changed a few times hands, but George bought it like 10 years ago.
And
8 years ago.
he's done well with it.
Oh yeah, he's a good cook. He can cook eggs. He's an egg master. Because they don't use pans, they use flat grill.
They do.
They do the eggs on a flat top. I mean, I can cook eggs, but I need to have a pan.
You get it.
But he'll do them flat top.
Flat top on the grill.
And having a runny egg flat top on the grill is not as easy as on a pan.
I have a much better appreciation now for my eggs than I ever had before. What did your family do back in Albania?
My mom and my dad, they're both teachers.
What kind of teachers?
My mom, it's a elementary school, and my dad used to be a school principal, but my dad taught math and physics.
So when you decided to go into the pharmacy, were they pleased with that path?
Because my grandma wanted me to be a doctor, so when she gets old, somebody has to take care of her.
Sure.
But I was not as smart enough, so I couldn't get I had to do some exams and some stuff to be able to go to study to Turkey. So I wasn't placed on a school for a doctor. The best I could done was for a pharmacy. So, and there were 160 people in the class, and there were four foreigner students. It was me. It was a Greek girl from Kavala. And there was a guy from Azerbaijan, and there was another girl from Iran. So it was like only 4. That was what they got from foreigners. So it was like really hard to get on.
Is the whole family here now? Mother, father, or their mother, father?
No, they're back home.
They stay in Albania.
Yeah. My mom wasn't here, back in there, helped with the kids. My dad comes and goes, but they go, no, we don't like it in there. People in there drive crazy. They don't know how to drive. Yeah.
Here in America?
Yeah, and they go, we don't speak the language, and there is not good coffee shops in America. So they go,
they go back to where they're comfortable.
Yeah, because they want to Greek, like, Turkish coffee or Greek coffee, like depending on what sides, what parts of Balkans you go, they have different names for the same coffee. Some of them will call it Elenico. Some of them will call it Turkish coffee. Yeah,
Turkico, Elenico. Yeah.
So it's really funny. My dad goes, and
which is better?
The same
coffee, right?
Same coffee.
But they call it Elenico and Turkico.
Yeah.
I've always thought, even when I was growing up, it was always considered. I always thought it was Turkish coffee that the Greeks were, and then I had an aunt who would. Do you have anybody in your family that can read the cups?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can read them too, but I need another like 3 weeks.
Can you seriously? Or can you read them?
No, but
anybody in your family read them?
No, we don't. I don't have anybody. But like,
my aunt could.
When I was in Istanbul, all the girls and all their moms and dads, and like, my goodness, everybody could read a cup. Most of the time, they'll tell you like.
And basically, you take the what's left of the grounds, you tip the cup over.
Down,
it makes a pattern,
and they can like shapes and stuff.
And then they read the pattern, what's in there, and they'll tell you what or who might be coming into your future,
Yeah,
et cetera.
but most of the time they know you and they know your life and all that. So most of the time they bullshit you and you go with it. I mean, there is nothing else better to do. It,
Yeah,
you know?
I can't remember one time before. It was right before I took the job in radio back in the early '90s, and I was in Greece, and my aunt said, "Enas chondros, thanis ti zoisa," which means there's a fat man in your life that's bringing you an offer. And I gotta admit, I went, well, whatever, because I was doing stand up and fine, okay. But then when I went to Columbus and interviewed and took the job, son of a bitch, it was a fat man. It was a fat man with a contract. And I thought about that damn cup, and like, she was right.
There's a lot of people that can read them right and they can find things, but most of people want to do it just for fun. So most of that is like they're just messing with you.
Yeah, I can read the cup.
Yeah.
We'll have some. Yeah, we'll have some Turkish.
We'll have
coffee.
some Turkish coffee.
We'll have
Yeah.
some Turkish coffee, and I'll tell you the future. If that shit, yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. Yeah, I'll tell you your future. I'll let you know what's going on in your little one. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. You're going to be a very, very wealthy young man.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I'm old now.
Oh well.
Not 21.
Not 21 to go to a restaurant. Oh man. So were they your parents? Were they pleased? Are they pleased now that you're in the restaurant business?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're not disappointed.
No.
Are they not disappointed because you're successful? If the restaurant had not been successful and is not successful, do you think they would have said, you should have stuck with pharmacy?
I was not able to practice pharmacy in US. I needed more exams and more time and all that. And when I moved in here, I said, I don't have any more time. I really need to, when I moved in here, I was 27. I was not 17 anymore. So I needed to work more. I was working 2 jobs. I didn't have the time, and was a lot of money to transfer the degree and do some exams and there was a lot of time consuming. So I gave up and started working in a hospital. And a short period of time, maybe like 3 years, 4 years, I was the manager of the department. And
that could have been a great job. That could have continued to be a good job.
Yeah, but I mean,
what made you want to go into the restaurant business?
I was working still, even with a hospital. I was working 16 hours a day instead of 8 hours that I was getting paid, because I want to make sure that everything was done correctly. It's very difficult. It's like.
So once again, the same work ethic you had in the hospital work
we
switched over to the restaurant
I
world
want to make sure that everything is done correctly. I want to make sure that all my cases are ready for tomorrow surgery and this and that. So all department had a lot of issues, a lot of things breaks and you have to fix and so on. And I was always short on people. It's very difficult to find good help, and that's sad. Because nobody wants to work anymore in America, and that's unfortunately sad.
Which brings me back to that question I had to you about the work ethic. You said it's just kind of an instilled way of life from that culture over here.
Oh, yeah.
Does that frustrate you? Does it frustrate you to come and have a successful business in this country? And does it frustrate you when people don't share the same work ethic that you have? Do you expect people to have the same work ethic as you? And
it used to, but now slowly down. Being an American as well, slowly down. I am.
So you're adjusting, you're adapting, or are you compromising?
I guess compromising will be the better word for it, but maybe adopting or finally, giving up. I'll say losing hope on humanity.
That's taking it a little far.
Yeah,
but you can't lose all hope in humanity.
I mean, but it's gonna get worse and worse and worse.
Why do you say that?
Because nobody restaurant work. It's
grueling.
It's a hard work. And sometimes people don't appreciate what you do, and sometimes you get chewed for somebody else's fault, or you have a customer that doesn't tip you well.
Can I tell you what upsets me the most when what I see from my fellow customers when I go into a restaurant? I get so upset when I see somebody treating a wait person like shit, for starters.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That makes me crazy. It makes me crazy when they complain about the food. Now, if there's something wrong with the food, if food's wrong, but when I see somebody copping a huge attitude, like it's like this is the most desecrating thing you could have done to me in the course. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life in a restaurant. It's just a messed up order. I feel for all the people that work back there, and I used to go back when there was restaurants that I really loved and was a regular at, and the meal was good. I would make it a point to go back in the kitchen and say,
thank you.
Awesome, thank you. It was wonderful.
Yeah,
and that that makes me crazy.
It's sad, and I laugh, and sometimes I feel bad, and sometimes it's impossible to make everybody happy.
I get that.
We have a really good restaurant. We normally do very well. We have a lot of customers coming all the way from Upper Arlington, from Clintonville, from Worthington, because our whiskey selection, and I'm part of a lot of Facebook groups and stuff that people follow me. They know there are people that will come and try to, because they can't pronounce my name correct. They go, "Hey, is Gent in here?" I go, "No, he's not. We just killed him." I just dropped him on a trash can because they don't know me, but they are trying to look for me. So they know me from some different platforms because I do like different. I've been on different radio shows. There's going to be another Best Bites, I guess, on Channel 6 and Channel 28. They were visiting and filming last Thursday, and that's going to be aired this Friday, so probably more people are going to come. But what I was saying is that I had a family this Saturday with a car show in Delaware with like tons of people, and I do believe my server that I was not being able to pay attention because I was behind the bar and I was busy, messed up their order, and
okay.
I understand. The lady walked in to the bar. She goes, "I'm still waiting for my kids' meal." I was able to like fix it in 30 seconds or a minute, but whatever. And
was she nice about it?
She was nice about it, and everything was nice. And I took the meal off, and still I got a 2-star review on Facebook. And right now I don't have a 2-star review. That was my first 2-star review. I have like a few 1-star reviews that people like really being pissed to the previous owners or whatever. But I go, lady, what happened?
Okay, what happened? Now let me ask you about that. In the current world of restaurants and bars, do you feel that you live and die by social media to an extent?
Oh yeah, you have to be. I mean, I don't care much.
Do you think that's fair?
It's not fair. I don't care about social media because I'm in Delaware and nobody's gonna Google or nobody is gonna check it because like my customers. 85% of my customers, I know them by first name, so they're not gonna Google me like they're gonna come straight.
Go back.
Yeah, like the Yelp people call me.
But you mentioned like the 2-star review on Facebook or whatever it was. It bothered you.
It bothers me because like my server apologized 15 times. I make it right.
It wasn't fair.
It was not fair. But people in America need to understand. That lady needs to understand. There is another 48 million people that right now we're drinking whiskey and having fun. Those people don't have food on their plate.
Right.
There's 48 million Americans, which is about 10% of America, going to bed hungry. And you're complaining because your child did not get your food? Good for you. You had 2 adult meals, which is like a lot of food on your plate.
Right.
Share it. Teach. That was a teaching. Teaching moment for you.
That was, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was potentially a teaching moment.
Absolutely.
But that's a lesson that wasn't learned from that lady. All she knew was that her kid didn't get her kid's meal, and she gives you a 2-star review.
Yeah, then you can teach your kid.
Was her food fine? Her food was fine.
You can teach your kid that your food is not promised. You have to work to get this food. So nothing is promised.
Going back to that, does it bother you that we live and die in a world by social media? That social media can affect. I mean, this podcast.
Absolutely,
we've gotten some great reviews on this podcast, and I'm sure we've got people that think it's a piece of shit.
Absolutely.
And I have to read both of those.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I have to read both of those reviews and try not to let the bad one affect me and try to let the good one encourage me. So
absolutely. But I mean, as soon as the lady left me a bad review, there were like 10 other 5 stars right
behind it.
Yeah, because.
But don't you focus on the 2-star though? Is it hard not to focus on the 2s? Like, we have a tendency like praise, but that guy didn't like me.
Yeah, but the problem is that we try to make it right for everybody, and like if you're at my restaurant and if you don't like my food, or if you don't like anything about me or my restaurant, I'll be more than happy to make it right for you. But when you leave and you are somewhere else and behind a phone or behind the computer, I don't know how to make it right.
I understand. Comedians are the same way. Comedians can have if there's 100 people in the room and 99 of them are bent over laughing hysterically,
And
that's
one guy-
great. But if there's that one guy that didn't crack a smile, they'll get off the stage and what will they say? Will they say, man, those 99 people know there's that one son of a bitch up front that didn't crack a smile. That's what he'll think about and dwell on. I might be speaking from experience. I don't know, but
Sounds like it. I'm looking at just the Yelp reviews. I mean, just the.
what are you looking at?
The OPA Bar and Grill Yelps. I mean, just the top 3 that come up: 2 5-stars and 1 4-star. So, yeah. I mean, you got to take all of it with a grain of salt.
We take it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if it's a good
And
review,
do you use a lot of salt in your food?
no, we don't use salt. We'll put everything with olive oil and garlic and lemon.
Oh man! All right, I know there's a couple things that you do on a regular basis up there. I want people to know about OPA Grill and Tavern up in Delaware. You have tastings.
Oh,
on a regular
absolutely. Yeah,
basis?
we do the second Wednesday of the month. We have a tasting every second Wednesday.
And what do those tastings consist of? Are they beer? Are they whiskey tastings?
No, we don't do beer. We don't do beer.
Whiskey?
We have whiskey only. We mostly do bourbon, but at the times we have done scotches. On May we did a tequila tasting because Cinco de Mayo. On March we'll do Irish whiskeys and we pair them with beer. So we do different things. Sometimes we'll pair bourbon with cheese. Sometimes we'll pair
Nice.
scotch
Very nice.
with chocolate. We do bourbon.
like
No,
that.
we had scotch. We had scotches and cigars. Unfortunately, I cannot do much cigars because I have to have it on a patio, and the weather is not permitting. Because I don't know how the weather is going to be next month on the second.
Welcome to Ohio.
Yeah. So, but people love, and we have a really good cigar shop in downtown that we partner with.
In respects to what we're drinking tonight, what would you say about the Jameson's Black Barrel?
Oh, I
like
Jameson's. I like Jameson's. This one is on the nose is a little nutty.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of nuts. Of course, it's Jameson. You're always gonna get a gazillion notes of vanilla. It's on the sweeter side.
Vanilla, toffee, kind of caramel-like. I mentioned earlier that when I was trying it before we opened it up tonight, it's a blend. Obviously, it's a blended whiskey, but there's a
Yeah, this one is blend. It's a pot with the grain whiskey.
there's a pot. There seems to be. It tastes predominantly. I taste more pot still whiskey in this one,
say so.
but it's got a nice little malty finish with it as well. It's good. I mean, our friend Barry, who was on the podcast last week, recommended that we try it. He said we'd like it, and it's about $39 a bottle, so it falls into the under $50 a bottle price profile that we enjoy on Whiskey Business.
You guys have a $50 limit?
No, but whenever we find good whiskeys that are under, because you and I were talking about this on the front porch.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
About the ridiculous expense of some whiskeys and how just because it's pricey doesn't always mean that it's the best. That there are some great whiskeys that are $50 and under that are fantastic, and some $30 whiskeys and $25 whiskeys.
The problem with people around, they will judge
They judge it by the price.
by the price.
If it's expensive, it's got to be good. Is that what
No,
you're,
not necessarily. I can give you expensive whiskey that is not good.
I could tell you that
I'll
too.
be more than happy to take your money. I have bills to pay.
And you have some of the elusive Pappy Van Winkle at your place as well.
I do have the Rip 10, I do have the 15, and I do have the 23-year-old. On my honest opinion, the 15 is better.
People have gone a little crazy over the whole Pappy thing, don't you think?
Most of the time I don't sell Pappy. Like I'll be able to tell people like let me give you something better than Pappy for more economic price. When you have like 800, 900 bottles that I have drinks from $4, $5 to $300 drink. And
What's a $300 drink?
I do have a little older bottle of scotch, a little older than me. It's a 52-year-old scotch. It's Port Dundas. Port Dundas is one of the best distilleries that was once upon a time. Closed for good, I do believe 2010 or 2011.
And people have bought that one? Have you sold it?
Oh yeah. The distillery closed, but they still have more product on the rick houses, on the warehouses,
gotcha.
and most of their products right now goes to compost boxes for blends, and
Can I get a side of seasoned fries with that? If
absolutely, yeah.
If I get the $300 Scotch whiskey,
we get you some loaded Greek fries.
All right, our guest has been Genti Kochi.
Yeah, perfect. Yep.
I got it, right?
Yep.
Well, that's the Mediterranean in me. His place of business is the OPA Grill and Tavern up in Delaware, Ohio, just a short little skip and a jump from Columbus. But if you are listening outside of the Ohio area and you do come to Ohio and you like whiskey and you like good food, you'd probably be doing yourself a big-time favor by popping in at OPA Grill. And I notice that your hours are flexible. You say 9 o'clock, but if you're in there having a good time and drinking, you're staying open.
Absolutely, yeah. We can stay.
It's the Mediterranean way.
We can stay open till 1 o'clock. I have a D3, so I have to be closed by 1. I cannot sell after 1 o'clock. But
do what they do in Ireland, like we did we talked about in the podcast last. Do the lock-in.
Yeah.
Lock the doors, close the shutters, and boom. And break out the Turkish coffees and whatnot. Thank you, my friend. It was very nice to have you on the show.
My pleasure.
I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
I thank you for your insights and your honesty.
My pleasure.
And my thanks to Greg Hansberry for producing it as always. And also John Whitney, who is quietly sitting back here videotaping this. I don't like being on camera, so I don't know if this experiment ultimately will work for us in the weeks and months to come. You want to say something, Hansberry? I see with your hand on the microphone. What would you like to say?
I got to turn the mic up now. I just want to remind everybody that Whiskey Business has an Instagram account.
I mentioned that earlier.
I know, but I want to remind people where they can
again,
find us. Just search for Whiskey Business Podcast at Instagram. You can.
Why are you saying it so softly, like it's
because
midnight?
Because
to
actually
remind all you midnight listeners that Whiskey Business.
Because I have the headphones on.
The Whiskey Business.
And I know that
is
you're
on,
blowing the mic out right now.
Whiskey Business is on
very
Instagram, and don't forget the Facebook Classic.
And I'm going to leave this in here because it's part of the show now. But you just like all over the mic like that. Whiskey Business Podcast at Instagram. Also, rate and review us, please, at iTunes or wherever you you tune in. There's a lot of podcast apps.
More than
out
2
there.
stars.
Yeah, yes, please. We need those stars.
So let me say what I always say when I'm wrapping things up. Whiskey Business is a Never the Luck production, produced, as I said, by Mr. Greg Hansberry, and is the opinions and thoughts and processes on Whiskey Business are those of me, your host, Dino Tripodis, and my guests, and sometimes reluctant guests, and they're never meant to offend, only to inform, educate, and ultimately entertain. And so, until the next bottle, see ya.